Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello, art history enthusiasts and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I am back with yet another video. Today, what are we gonna do today? Today, I'm going to deliver on my promise, and I said I was gonna do an art history, like 101 series on the different eras, the different, art through the ages. Okay, and we're starting with prehistory. We're going to talk about the way that women were represented in prehistory. Um, and it should be interesting, people. It should be pretty darn interesting. And of course, I'm doing this in the context of, yes, an actual, honest to goodness, educational situation, but also because this has a great deal to do with what's been burning in my brain lately regarding the representation of women in art, and having to do with our Stanley Kubrick, our David Lynch, and any other film director you want to think about. Okay, so this is going to be kind of, I guess, yeah, an informal yet scholarly discussion about that subject, that topic, um, in a way where I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. If you know me just through this channel, or if you know me through my real life professional situation, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Okay, so consider this an art history 101 survey course, like first unit discussion. Okay, so we're talking about prehistory, the Stone Age, the representation of women. There are issues that we need to kind of address and discuss regarding this thing. Before I get into it, of course, this would be a perfect time for you to go and fire up your percolator. Go do it. Go get your favorite coffee. Go get the water. Go get the stuff. Plug the thing in. Get it together. All right, your percolator, your Mister, you know who, drip machine, your mocha pot, your French press, your Ibrick. Order out. Whatever you do, get your coffee or whatever beverage you enjoy consuming. Find a nice place to sit. Get comfortable. And now you're going to give yourself a chance to commune with your thoughts regarding this topic. So, returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate every single last one of you so very, very much. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm kind of really interested in what y'all have to say about this, if you have anything to say at all. And if you're here because you're a subscriber and you've been riding with me for a long time, yes, please do comment in the comment section. If you're here from, Art 101, you can comment on this in the discussion boards. Let's do it. Let's, I want to hear what you have to say. You don't have to agree with me. As a matter of fact, I hope that you at least partially don't agree with me and have, your own thoughts regarding this, whatever I'm about to say. So, yeah, do it here, do it in the discussion board. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Again, I've been talking a lot about misogyny, sexism, hoes in my videos that have to do with Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, and related things. All right. I don't know why, but I'm kind of obsessed with that lately. The way people react to it, especially. The way people react to it, especially. And I want to explore this topic, the representation of women in art. We're starting with prehistory. Okay. So I've done videos about prehistory before, like this one, Prehistoric Stone Age Art, an introduction. This is an oldie from 2022. Hello. Not a lot of views, but I think I want to point you in that direction. I will copy and paste all of these links into the description for this video. All of the Wikipedia links regarding this stuff, prehistory, lower Paleolithic, middle Paleolithic, etc., etc. This is going to be in the description of the video. So, if you want those, if you need those, if you think you can use those, let's do it. Let's go. All right. And let's get into it. All right. Like I said, can't wait for your comments. I really want to know. Okay, Art 101, Art History 101, my subscribers, my viewers, let's do this. So the first article I have for you is this one. Okay, were the first artists mostly women? This is an interesting article on this topic. So I'm gonna kind of do something that I never thought I would do. Look at art history in that frame. Yes, pun intended. In that frame of like understanding the role of women as both the subject matter of the artwork and in some cases, like this one here, the creators of the artwork. Okay, we talked about that I talked about it recently in this video, More Misogyny, More Sexism, and More Hoes, Copy Break. And that was regarding, again, characterizing Stanley Kubrick and or David Lynch as sexist, misogynistic film directors, which I don't agree with. Now, again, people think that the Wendy character in The Shining, she's awful because it wasn't the character that Stephen King wrote in his book. What people neglect to realize is that the Wendy character in the movie was co-written by a woman. All right, so there's that. And now we have this article here. It's from 2013, is it? Yes. Were the first artists mostly women? And when they say first, they mean the first because this is prehistory. If you look through, if you're here for my professional endeavor, look through the slides. Look through the slides. Look at all this stuff. Look through the pages of the chapter. Look at all this stuff. And you'll see a lot of images that, again, you're going to have to kind of weed through them on your own. We're just concentrating on a couple today in this video. This is hopefully not going to be more than a half-hour video because I don't want to just bore you to tears. But just imagine, for years and years and years, as this article, I think, states, people just thought the prehistoric art, the majority of it that we have, was done by men. What you're going to see in prehistoric art, when you go through the collection of images, you're going to see a lot of animals and women, nude women. You're not going to see any men. I mean, you might see one man in the rhinoceros and disemboweled bison painting, and that the man lying down, he's lying down, and you can see his private area. That's the only way you know it's male. But other than that, if you see a human being in prehistoric art depicted, it's going to be female. And to think that those depictions were created by women, we thought they were created by men for the longest time. As it says here, women made most of the oldest known cave art painting, suggests a new analysis of ancient handprints. So what this article tells us is that somebody took, as you can see, these handprints in these I think this is Lascaux. I'm not sure. But there's these handprints here. 1, 2, 3, and there's one down here, 4. Am I missing anything? I don't know. But these handprints are supposed to be women's handprints, and they thought they were men's handprints for the longest time. Most scholars had assumed these ancient artists were predominantly men. So the finding overturns decades of archaeological dogma. Okay, again, this is written in 2013 for the National Geographic magazine. Archaeologist Dean Snow of Pennsylvania State University analyzed hand stencils found in 8 cave sites in France and Spain. By comparing the relative lengths of certain fingers, that's how they determine whether the hands belong to a man or a woman. Snow determined that 3/4 of the handprints were female. 3/4, 75%. Snow says here, there has been a male bias in the literature for a long time. I guess the people handling this stuff, studying this stuff for decades, simply assumed that the artists of prehistoric artwork were majority men, maybe even exclusively men. Looks like that's not the case, or they're seeing evidence to maybe suggest that that possibly is not the case. Interesting. And he goes on and says, people have made a lot of unwarranted assumptions about who made these things and why. And you got to ask, you got to wonder, why have people made these, the snow person calls unwarranted assumptions. Why do people just simply assume that these cave art and figurines and all this stuff was made by men? I don't know. I don't know. But archaeologists, here it says, archaeologists have found hundreds of hand stencils on cave walls across the world. Because many of these early paintings also showcase game animals, bison, reindeer, horses, woolly mammoths. Many researchers have proposed that they were made by male hunters, perhaps to chronicle their kills, which I don't think that's feasible. Like, I don't think, like, how could you chronicle all the kills? I mean, there's only a limited amount of wall space in that cave, but whatever. Or as some kind of hunting magic. Again, they're turning towards the religious. Whatever belief system these people had in prehistoric times. Hunting magic. And, I mean, you'll begin to see as you go through each time period and what have you. You're going to see that magic is a big part of religion. And it still is to this day. But hunting magic, to improve the success of an upcoming hunt. The new study suggests otherwise. In most hunter-gatherer societies, it's men that do the killing, but it's often the women who haul the meat back to camp, and women are as concerned with the productivity of the hunt as men are, Snow said. It wasn't just a bunch of guys out there chasing bison around. And what you'll notice as you go through the images, you go through the slides, you go through whatever you can find with regard to prehistoric art, like I said, you're going to see a lot of pictures of animals, and those animals are going to be what they call here game animals. And there's animals then, that were game animals in the prehistoric hunter-gatherer Ice Age world. As time progressed, they became animals that we now call livestock. Or, maybe not reindeer. But all of these animals, bison, reindeer, horses, woolly mammoths are extinct. But a lot of these animals are now corralled, wrangled, used, farmed, basically. Either for their meat or their skin or whatever. Okay, and as I've said before, when I've explored this topic in a professional setting, we're never going to get rid of those bison. Those bison are always going to be there. They're still with us today. Bison, bovine creatures, bulls, yep. Okay, so please keep that in mind as you progress through all of the slide presentations, chapters, everything. Okay? Experts suggest a wide range of opinions about how to interpret Snow's new data, attesting to the many mysteries still surrounding this early art. Okay. I'm going to put this article in the description too, so you can use it on your own. They're just talking about in this part how they determine whether the handprints belong to men or women. Okay. And they're not 100% sure, but they're, for some people don't agree with the findings. Okay, cool. All right. But for some reason, Snow's analysis, it says, determined that 24 of the 32 hands, 75%, were female. Now, again, it says here, some experts are skeptical. All right. There's another expert. I mean, they're all experts. But another expert, somebody named R. Dale Guthrie, determined that no, they're not women, they're adolescent boys. So who are we going to believe? Who are we going to believe, and why and how? Okay. And when they make these, they have their data, however they get their data, interpreting handprints. And then this Guthrie person says, oh, well, of course they're boys because, adolescent boys have always been adolescent boys, even in prehistory. And they would have explored caves for adventure. Okay, they drew what was on their mind, which is mainly two things: naked women and large, frightening animals. Again, that's a big-ass assumption from this Guthrie person. And Snow, maybe that's a big assumption too, that the hands are mostly female hands, and this other person says they're actually adolescent. And then what they're telling us is, now Guthrie is telling us that the art in these caves is the product of basically hormonal teenage boys, and if it was the modern world, it would be like, pictures of sports stars or whatever. But in the prehistory, it was big, scary animals and naked women. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. There's a lot of assumptions, and what you need to learn immediately. And one of my art history professors in the past told our class at the time, art history is mostly opinion. And these are archaeologists, okay, but there's like a crossover between art history and archaeology, especially when it comes to ancient art. Very, very old art, definitely prehistoric art, definitely Mesopotamian art, Egyptian art. There is a kind of overlap between archaeology and art history. And everybody thinks they're right, by the way. Like my professor a long time ago said, art history is mostly opinion. And that was the most realist, like straight up thing that professor could have said. They didn't sugarcoat it. They didn't say, oh no, these are experts and they've got a lot of education and they've put in a lot of work. No, 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 no. They can be wrong too. Because each and every single last one of us, what do we all have? Bias, prejudice, preconceived notions about this, that, or the other. We all have a set of certitudes by which we live, and those things are difficult to shake or shatter or destroy. Like, you become who you become as you grow up, as you go through your upbringing, your training, your education, and then you get to a certain point as a person and you think you have your opinions kind of set, and it takes something catastrophic to change your mind about things. In many cases, a lot of people just don't have open minds, especially scholars. All right, that's what you need to know, children. Especially scholars who have their entire livelihood is based on them being right about something. That's what you need to know. That's what you need to know. And so when you read these things, when you read articles like this one here from the National Geographic, or stuff, I'm gonna show you a couple more of them. Take everything with a grain of salt. Read what you find. Read it, consider it, think about it. Think about it in the context of who you are as a person. Think about, does it make sense to you? Try to figure out whether or not the person that wrote the thing is speaking from a place of bias, and if so, why and how and whatever. And at the same time, also don't forget to use that opportunity to challenge your own bias. That's always a good, healthy thing to do, especially if you're a student, especially if you're in school. Like, what better time or place would there be for that? Okay, so that's this article. I'll leave it in the description. Enjoy it. If you want to talk about it, talk about it. If you want to use it as a source for one of your writings or essays, please do. That's why it's here. Okay, now we're going to move on to a Wikipedia article on the Venus figurines. Okay, and you're going to see these in the slides. Right? A Venus figurine is any Upper Paleolithic statue portraying a woman, usually carved in the round, which means you can see it from all angles. Most have been unearthed in Europe, but others have been found as far away as Siberia and distributed across much of Eurasia. Most date from the Gravettian periods, 26,000 to 21,000 years ago. However, findings are not limited to this period. For example, the Venus of Hohlefels, I hope I pronounced that correctly, dates back at least 35,000 years, and this is her. This big thing over down here. Actually, not very big, but it looks huge. Like, the body proportions look huge. The Venus of Hohlefels dates back to 35,000 years to the Aurignacian era, and the Venus of Montrose, this thing, dates back to about 11,000 years to the Magdalenian. Okay, these are things that you can look up on your own in your own time. Such figurines were carved from soft stone, such as steatite, calcite, or limestone, bone or ivory, or formed of clay and fired. The latter are among the oldest ceramics known to historians. Nude women. Nude women. And not just nude women, but nude women who've got, oh my goodness, they got a lot going on with their bodies, okay? In total, over 200 such figurines are known, virtually all of modest size, between 3 and 40 centimeters, or 1.2 and 15.7 inches in height. These figurines are recognized as some of the earliest works of prehistoric art. Interesting. Most have wide hips and legs that taper to a point. Arms and feet are often absent, and the head is usually small and faceless. So this isn't about a portraiture. This isn't about depicting an actual person who existed at the time and, commemorating that person, their identity. No, this is about an idea. These Venus figurines represent some kind of idea, some kind of concept. Okay, various figurines exaggerate the abdomen, hips, breasts, thighs, or vulva. Yeah. Although many found examples do not reflect these typical characteristics. Depictions of hairstyles can be detailed, and clothing or tattoos may be indicated. Okay. The original cultural meaning and purpose of these artifacts is not known. It has frequently been suggested that they may have served a ritual or symbolic function. So, like I said, this is not about recording somebody's likeness. This is about the idea of whatever these figures represent. They happen to be figures that depict the female form, the female nude form. We have here the Venus of Willendorf. We have here the Venus of Hohlefels. Oh, good heavens. Okay, so, Now, the Venus of Willendorf is kind of the most famous one, and she has her own Wikipedia page. She's 4.4 inches tall, not big, not huge, like keychain sized. Estimated to have been made around 25,000 years ago. It was discovered on August 7, 1908, from the archaeological dig conducted by Josef Jombati, Hugo Obermeier, and Josef Bayer at a Paleolithic site near Willendorf, a village in Lower Austria. The figurine was found by a workman named either Johann Veran or Josef Veram, and is carved from an Neolithic limestone that is not local to the area and tinted with red ochre. It is now in the Natural History Museum in Vienna, Austria. Okay? Interesting. All right. Now, they've determined how old it is, the way they determine how old it is. And now, this part of the Wikipedia page is, of course, the most interesting one. Interpretation and purpose. Like I said, my professor told me the truth and said art history is mostly opinion. So anything that you have to read here in this interpretation and purpose section is going to be largely based on somebody's bias, the bias of the person who wrote it, found it, examined it, and that person's bias is considered legitimate because they have a degree. That's all it takes. All you got to do is go to school and get a thinking license, and then, the world is your oyster. Good heavens. Okay, here we go. Interpretation and purpose. I'm not going to read a lot of this. You can do it. I'll put this in the description. I'm going to try and make this video short and to the point. Similar sculptures first discovered in the 19th and early 20th centuries are traditionally referred to in archaeology as Venus figurines due to the widely held belief that depictions of nude women and exaggerated sexual features represented an early fertility deity, perhaps a mother goddess. Where they got that from, I don't know. Were they just, were they thinking about Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Egyptian mythology, Mesopotamian mythology, and they figured especially Mesopotamian was a continuation of what came before it, which is basically the prehistoric world. And Mesopotamian mythology has plenty of fertility stuff going on. Inanna, I will talk about Inanna in the next video for Mesopotamia. But how can they be so sure? They can't be. Again, especially with regard to prehistoric stuff, this is mostly opinion. All right, so exaggerated sexual features. The reference to Venus is metaphorical since the figurines predate the mythological figure of Venus by many thousands of years. Some scholars reject this terminology, instead referring to the statuette as the woman of or woman from Willendorf, Okay. Very little is known about the Venus's origin, method of creation, or cultural significance. However, it is one of numerous Venus figurines surviving from Paleolithic Europe. The purpose of the carving is the subject of much speculation. It sure is. It sure is. Now, let's just, again, you can read the rest of this on your own. It's kind of repetitive. But just look at this figure. You can see her up here, upper right of the screen. She's nice and chubby. Okay, she's got very big bosoms, very big tummy, chunky little thighs, no feet, and so on. Let's look at her from all angles, front, back, and both sides. My goodness. Okay, her private parts area is very exaggerated. She's got a big belly button, nice big tummy, big boobs, and so on and so forth. The feet are missing. I don't know why. Maybe they broke off. I don't know. I just don't know. And the face, we can't see it. It seems to be, covered by this thing that resembles like a beanie, like a knitted or crocheted beanie that's covering the face. Is it hair? I don't know. But, she's obviously a big girl. Okay. And people might look at this and say, oh, well, this is an aspirational figure. In the Stone Age and the Ice Age, this figure, because she's nice and big and chubby, she is a representation of the good life, luxury, free from care, plenty of food, and so on, and baby making and all the stuff. That is the common interpretation of this figure. Why? I don't know why, but that is. Now, nobody looks like this. That's what you need to know. There is no human being alive, or probably that has ever lived, that whose body proportions conform precisely to this, what you're seeing here. Like, very few of us have, I'll just say it, butt cheeks that come all the way up to our shoulders. No, that doesn't happen. Very few people are big all over their body except for their arms. So she's big all over except these really skinny little arms. Yeah, no. Most people, if you're big, you're big all over. Also her neck. No, just no. Her neck is too wide, or her shoulders are too narrow. Her neck is almost the same width as her shoulders. Again, anatomically impossible. So this is not a representation of like a real person, or what a real person would have looked like. You might say, oh, maybe those artists at the time didn't know how to do that. Or maybe they wanted to, but they couldn't. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know whether or not that makes any sense. I don't know what they were capable of in prehistory, but they were capable of this. We know that they were capable of this. And again, they could have made the arms at least a little bigger. If they could do this with the legs, then they could do something with the arms, I figure. So is this a fertility figure? Is this aspirational? Is this female body a representation of the good life? At least during that time in history. I don't know. What does she say about the modern world? Can we compare her to something that we see in the modern world, in modern media, advertising, entertainment, whatever? I don't know. But that would be a darn good discussion to have, would it not? I think so. Now, let me click out of that. And again, this will be in the description. Let me take a look at one more article. This is from Artsy. Why Prehistoric Venus Figurines Still Mystify Experts. This is from 2019. Okay. Ample hips, voluminous breasts, uncovered pudenda. These are the most discussed features of the Stone Age statuettes of women commonly known as Venus figures or fertility figures. Dating as far back as around 40,000 BCE, the prehistoric statues have been touted as some of the earliest known examples of figurative art worldwide. Yet, they're shrouded in mystery, and their interpretation has been influenced by over a century of cultural projection. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah. Somebody's prejudices, biases, and they just think of their own ideas as gospel, and they literally project it. Well, not literally, but you know what I mean. onto whatever it is that they're analyzing. Yes, projection is a great word. Archaeologists have read them as goddess effigies, fertility talismans, likenesses of revered mothers, and nourishment charms. Many historians have focused on their exaggerated curves, but fewer have highlighted the range of body types they depict. Yeah, it's not just big ladies. No, there's all different kinds of body types. Better known examples, like the famed Venus of Willendorf, are voluptuous, while other lesser known figurines are usually more slender and lithe. We may never know exactly why these figurines were forged and who they depict, but that hasn't stopped scholars from hypothesizing. Okay, the first modern discovery of a Paleolithic statuette took place in 1864, thanks to a nobleman and amateur archaeologist by the name of Paul Urot, the 8th Marquis de Vibray. While rooting around in the dig site of Logerie Basse in the Dordogne region of southwestern France, Urot unearthed a 3-inch tall ivory object. Though headless and armless, the figure retained a pronounced chest and clearly articulated vulva, boldly confirming it as a female. Urot, with satirical flair, named her Venus impudique, or immodest Venus, a playful inversion of the classical Greek statue typology Venus pudica, in which a female figure modestly covers her genitals with a hand or cloth. By contrast, the Paleolithic figure seemed to take no pains to hide her sexuality. Urot didn't know it then, but over 200 similar figurines from the Upper Paleolithic era would be unearthed across Europe and Asia, from France to Siberia, over the next century and a half. He not only launched this rash of discoveries, but also the tradition of calling the statuettes Venuses. It was a somewhat misleading name, given that the term originated in ancient Greece tens of thousands of years after the Paleolithic figurines were made, to describe the goddess of love, sex, and fertility. Okay. So you can read through more of this if you'd like to. Like I said, I want to keep this video short. It's already over half an hour, but I'm not going to keep you much longer. Again, what is the main question is, what was the point of these things? Look at them. This one is even like kind of more of a jarring image. This one on the left here, the Venus of Hohlefels. She looks like a rotisserie chicken. Okay? But it's supposed to be a human figure of a woman with a very exaggerated midsection, arms, if you could call them that are just, they look deformed, legs that look deformed, once again, a very pronounced private parts area. Breasts are head, if you could call that a head, it's very small. I don't know what to think. And then there's this one, the Venus of Dolny Vestonice. I think that's from the Czech Republic, but I'm not sure. Also, very exaggerated body parts and proportions, and absolutely no emphasis on facial features whatsoever. Just 2 kind of lines for the eyes. An extremely long, droopy breast, very wide midsection and hips. Where are the arms? Are these just a suggestion of arms and a collarbone? And shoulders, no feet. Again, feet are not important. I don't know. What's going on? Why did they make these? And they had the audacity in this article to compare these to Titian's Venus of Urbino. Oh, that's a problem. We can talk about it in the comments, in the discussion board, whatever you like. Now, what's going on here? Read what you have to read about prehistory. All right, if you're dealing with me in a professional way, educational way, or if you're one of my subscribers, go ahead and look at the Wikipedia pages that I will put for you. Yes. What is going on? I mean, we can't get an answer. We can't come to any kind of answer definitively, because these things are so old and the people who made them have been dead for, ever so many years. We can't ask them. But what we can do is compare them to what we have now. We can do that. We sure can. We can compare them to advertising, entertainment, media, art, whatever that we have now, that we still continue to create to this day. and how women and women's bodies. When you see a picture of a woman in a magazine, yes, she has a face, and a lot of times you know the identity of the model who's posing for the photo, but does that make any difference? Does that make any difference in any way, shape, or form whatsoever? Is that female figure that you're looking at in a magazine, on a website, in social media, whatever, like, why is that woman's picture there? Whether it's a supermodel or, one possibility with these figures that they never seem to, at least in the stuff that I've shown you so far, that they don't even attempt to talk about, is maybe these are pornographic images. That's a possibility. It is. It just is. But what's going on? What was going on back then? And pretty much more importantly, what's going on now? What's going on in art? What's going on in films? What was Stanley doing? What was David doing? What was Salvador Dali doing? What was Pablo Picasso doing? What was Andy Warhol doing? What was, you name it, whichever artist, or a lot of times artists, we don't know their names. We don't know the names of advertising directors. We don't know the names of photographers who put those pictures up for us on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, various websites, blogs, advertisings, whatever. Super Bowl Sunday's coming up, advertising heavy event. Trust and believe there are going to be some pictures of women in those ads for the Super Bowl. Popular entertainment, music, whatever. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And what can these figures from prehistory teach us? How can they help us understand more what's going on today and now, and how it's shaping our world? Okay, I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I'm going to do the description and everything for this video, the thumbnail, what have you. And, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let me know what you think. I can't wait. I can't wait to see and hear what you have to say. So once again, I hope you enjoyed the coffee. Not very long. I'm going to be done. It's going to be less than a 40-minute video, I hope. But, nice quick cup of coffee for my coffee people. And for those of you who are dealing with me in a professional way, think about this. Write comments about this. Consider this for writing an essay. Let's do it. So, returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate every single last one of you. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I can't wait to see the comments on this in all areas. Tell me, what do you think? I'm just one person. I can only do so much. Okay, I don't have any of the answers, but I have lots and lots of questions, and I hope that me doing this will inspire you to ask some questions and go look some things up and go do some thinking. So that's what I got for now. Next time when I do one of these videos, these Art 101, Art History 101 videos, we're going to talk about Mesopotamia. We're going to talk about arrogance and obnoxiousness and audacity in Mesopotamia. So stay tuned for that. Stay dry if you're in the Southland here, Southern California. It's going to be difficult. I already got an emergency flash flood warning on my phone. Oh, please, everybody, be safe, be smart. Don't do anything ridiculous. Don't try to drive through floodwater, please. And that's that, okay? So until next time, until the next time when I find yet another reason to talk at you in one of these videos, I'm going to go ahead and bid you bye-bye. So, bye-bye, everybody.